Alright you guys, so this is my 20-gallon nano reef, and believe it or not, this tank has actually not had a water change in over 365 days. In over a year, this tank has not seen a water change. All I've been doing is topping it off and just kind of scrubbing and getting some algae out. Now you can probably tell the tank, visually doesn't look the most pleasing, but we're gonna go further into some details, and overall, it's actually, all things considered, the tank is thriving. It's doing very well. So we're gonna take a closer look at some of the corals, some of the fish, livestock, and everything that I have in this tank. And it's actually a pretty basic setup. And I think that this video kind of proves that anyone can get into saltwater and be successful. So let's go ahead, let's take a closer look into the condition of the tank. Why did I go 365 days, a whole year, without doing a water change? How is the tank doing, and how will it improve in the future? Let's go ahead and take a closer look, guys. Alright you guys, so just a quick little background story on this tank. So this tank has been set up for about 3 years now. And basically, like, before I actually got into any salt water, I was doing freshwater, as you can see there, that I was keeping freshwater for a while. And then time went on and I was like, you know what, let me try a saltwater tank. So this is my very first attempt at a saltwater tank, and it's been set up for 3 years. And this little Nemo right here, his name is Clyde. I started out with two, Bonnie and Clyde were the originators. Bonnie actually jumped out of the tank before I had this glass lid, so I decided to get a glass lid after that, and I was sad. But so yeah, Clyde over here is 3 years old, as well as I have a yellow Watchman goby in here that likes to hide in this back corner for the rocks. He only likes to come out when I feed him, which is fine. But yeah, so this tank's 3 years old, like I said, and about after 2 years, the tank was looking good, and I stopped doing water changes. Honestly, yeah, all I did really was just top the tank off, scrubbed the glass here and there, and I thought it was looking good. And that pretty much brings us to today, guys. And I actually plan to do a water change after this video, so that's why I'm making this video now. So after 1 year of not doing a water change, we can go ahead and do a deeper dive into like what is the state of the tank. And by no means am I like a professional at keeping salt water or anything, but I definitely have had some successes and a lot of failures. So I mean, I guess I've learned a lot. So we can go ahead and let's take a closer look, and I'm sure you more experienced guys in the comment section will let me know some certain things about the tank. But basically, like, if you actually like look at the tank, most of like this ugly looking stuff on the back glass here is just some algae that's built up over time that just needs to be scraped off. I mean, you can tell it's really not hair algae, or I mean, it is hair algae, but it's like not really developed, because I do try to, get back there with the scraper once in a while. But without doing a water change, that does make it really hard because it can dirty up the water. So you're pretty much just like relying on your filter floss to pull it out. And that's basically what I've been doing, kind of like the lazy man's way of doing it, I guess. But I mean, let's go ahead and get a closer look here at like the gravel and everything, and some of the corals. Like this pulsing xenia is pretty healthy. This stuff grows really fast. That's why I have it isolated on an island here. This Duncan's very healthy too. It started off as like 1 or 2 heads, and now it's got like 6 heads, and it's thriving. It's looking great. If you look, we have like a little bit of some bacteria growing on the rock there, but nothing too crazy. Like that could easily come off with like a little scraper. And everything else, honestly, like I said, if you take a closer look, it's really just the glass that's kind of ugly. Like in the back there, not too pleasing. And obviously the aquascape, I will get to in a minute, it doesn't look great. The GSP, got a green star polyp, that stuff is looking good. And I guess we have like this little hairy mushroom that has grown a ton. I'll put in a quick little video of what that looked like when I first got it. It was tiny. But yeah, like this guy is huge now. And last but not least, we have Clyde's little bubble tip anemone. It's actually really small and it hasn't grown a whole lot. It's probably because I don't feed it as much as I should. But usually it's out a lot more. And sometimes it'll go through like a week or two phase where it's kind of shriveled up, as you can see how it is now. But recently I guess I haven't been feeding it as much as I should. So I'll definitely get back and I'll hold myself accountable to make sure that this guy is fully fed and looking great for Clyde, because Clyde loves to host it. He actually feeds it himself. If you've seen that YouTube short on my channel, you know what I'm talking about. And if you haven't, make sure to check it out. It's really cool. Clyde will actually drop food in there and feed the anemone, which is just a cool symbiotic relationship that those guys have together. But basically, like, really what I wanted this tank to be in the beginning was I really wanted a lot of like hammer corals and torch corals or frog spawn. And really an anemone wasn't in the mix because if you guys know, anemones can sting those corals and anemones like to move around a lot. So I didn't really plan on getting this guy, but he actually snuck in on this Xenia rock. So I've kind of just been keeping him around. He hasn't been here for too long, but Clyde really likes it. So I've been keeping him. And I know he doesn't look the greatest right now, but part of my saltwater journey is to get this guy fully recovered and looking great. But anyway, guys, back to the actual condition of the tank itself. You guys can see I actually have some coralline algae growing on the walls, which is there. You can see some back there, and then some like over here that is mixed in with some algae. And so I have some coralline growing, and that's usually a healthy sign, or a good sign that your tank is pretty healthy and well cycled. Now, if there's any, more experienced or experts and that are more familiar with the saltwater game, please let me know, anything that you see that could be alarming or anything that looks good in the tank. And keep in mind, we haven't done a water change for over a year. And yeah, that's about to change. I plan to do a water change like right after this video. So I kind of just wanted to document everything. But yeah, so there's a lot of pros here, I think. And just a lot to take away in general, it really hasn't been that hard to maintain, what I have built up now, and everything looks fairly healthy. I mean, like I said, the Duncan's healthy. The anemone, I'm more new with, so he could be healthier. I mean, I've seen him look way better. I wish he was looking good for this video. But the Xenia has been growing a ton. The mushroom looks great, and so does the GSP. And I guess if you're new, starting out into the saltwater hobby, these are a lot of fairly easy things to keep. Like the Xenia is notorious for being pretty easy to keep. Same with mushrooms and GSP, and Duncans are more of a starter coral. So if you're just starting off into the saltwater hobby, I'd say get some more hardy corals and hardy fish. Clownfish are super hardy. Same with some gobies are pretty hardy. So if you just kind of want to get your feet wet and see if saltwater's for you, definitely go with the more easier setup. Similar to what I have here, and I've had great success, and I have, as you can tell, the last year I haven't even put too much effort into this tank other than just topping it off with some RO water and feeding the fish, as you could tell, and scraping the glass here and there, which I really need to get to badly. And something else I want to get to is this aquascape. I think starting now that I have the YouTube channel, I kind of want to subscribe, by the way, if you haven't subscribed, but I kind of want to get more into the aquascaping and more of the finer details of not only freshwater but saltwater as well. So I'll be aquascaping this tank, rescaping it, and also I want to add more fish in here. Do I get another clownfish, guys, or maybe do I get some other nano reef tank fish? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. I think Clyde is really missing his other clownfish buddy Bonnie, so maybe we might get him another clownfish. We probably will. But the overall theme of this tank, guys, this was my first saltwater reef tank, so I didn't want to go with anything crazy, so I went with easy to keep fish, easy to keep coral, and I'll go over some of the gear that I'm running too, just to show you that it doesn't really have to break the bank. It can be simple. So I guess the first thing is this light is a night crew light from Amazon that was $40, and it's got a nice little timer on it. So it, it'll, when it first starts up, it'll be blue light, and then it'll go to this mixture between white and blue. And then before the light turns off, it'll go back to the blue light. So a nighttime, and then it'll fully shut off. So it's actually not a bad light for $40, and it keeps everything happy and healthy. Also, I have this little 100-watt cheap heater that does a good job. Haven't had any problems with it. Also like this power head, like it's a very weak power head, but it keeps the surface water agitated, which is what you really want. You want good circulation in your saltwater tank, and you can see like everyone gets pretty good flow. Like the Duncan looks happy. This guy could maybe use a little bit more flow, but you know, everyone looks pretty happy. These guys are getting flow a little bit here. You can see the GSP moving here. I'd say the Duncan probably gets the most flow, but it's all about, you know, where you angle it, obviously. But this wave maker, I think I got for like 15 or 20 bucks, super cheap. And then I'm just using like a 40-gallon like aqua clear filter that just has some filter media, filter floss, and some carbon. So literally that's it. Like that's all that runs this tank. It doesn't have to be, you know, anything too complicated. Like it can be pretty simple, and that's kind of what this tank is all about, just being simple. And I'll be getting some new corals in the future, hopefully like a torch or a hammer. And also I think part of the journey will be reviving this anemone and making it look really great. But yeah, so that's pretty much like an overview of the tank, guys. And next time you see this tank, it will look a lot cleaner because I will do the water change. I don't know if I'll document it or if I'll just clean it and show you guys the before and after. But yeah, that's about it, guys. Let me know if you have any questions in the comment section down below. Like I said, I'm not a pro, but and also if you're super familiar and an expert with saltwater and you want to give me any tips or anything, please, feel free, let me know. Lastly, guys, just let me go over some of the tips that I've learned along the way. Like I said, I'm not an expert, but just things that have helped me kind of maintain what I have. I guess the first tip would be you don't need your light on a ton. And actually, I had to turn my light, the brightness up for this video, because usually I keep it a little more dimmer and a little more blue. So I like to run a bluer spectrum. It just it helps with algae growth, and the corals still look good. And I run the full light spectrum. I do like an hour ramp up, and then I do 6 hours of like full spectrum, which is what it is now, and then I do like an hour ramp down the blue light. So 8 hours a day total, 7 days a week. So yeah, just 8 hours a day. Don't really do more than that unless your tank looks great and you don't have any algae growth. Then you can turn your lights up. Also, something that I do that has really helped that I've noticed is I feed this tank very lightly. I feed this tank actually like twice a week. And when I feed, I don't feed too much. Like I make sure that all of the food pretty much is eaten up by the fish, by the clownfish, or by the goby, and that kind of keeps nutrients decently low. And you're probably wondering like how my corals get any nutrients if I'm not doing water changes. They're just getting nutrients plainly from me feeding. So I guess that kind of is the reason why I was able to go so long without a water change and not have too much algae buildup. Was there's just not that much nutrients to compete for, and usually the corals soak up any extra nutrients from the food. And that's basically how I've been running it. It's just feeding very lightly twice a week. And obviously you can go up or go down depending on how your tank looks and how, if your fish look good, if your corals look good. Obviously, I think my corals could probably use a little bit more nutrients overall. And when I get more corals, I'll definitely be feeding more and definitely doing some more testing. And I do plan to feed this tank more, just when it's been kind of idling over the last year. Just, really been focusing on feeding a little less than I normally do. And, the guys look fine. Like, you can see the clownfish, he looks great. Let me focus there. And like I said, all the corals, they're just getting the nutrients from that food that I'm putting in. And of course, my yellow watchman hasn't came out this whole time, but he will be out. Don't worry. But yeah, that's pretty much my tips. And I guess another thing is, if something goes wrong in your tank, don't overreact. Like, the worst thing you could probably do is if one of your corals doesn't look good, is to change everything around, and that always just makes it worse. And from what I found is, usually if you have like 10 corals in the tank and 8 out of the 10 are looking good, then usually you're doing good, because you can't make like everything happy. You're gonna try your best, but just try not to overreact. Try to do things slowly, take your time, and your tank will come out well, as long as you just take your time and do a lot of research. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, make sure to leave them in the comment section down below, and I'll be sure to get to them. We're definitely going to have a lot of stuff planned for this tank. I'm going to be rescaping it, getting some new corals, and definitely looking at some new livestock options, as well as a cleanup crew. I really don't have much of a cleanup crew in here at all, so I'll be looking at that. And also, yeah, if you're interested in staying up to date with this tank, or if you're interested in the freshwater tank, there'll be changes coming to both. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. Also, hit that like button, and feel free to hit the dislike button if you want to, and let me know what you didn't like about the video, because I'd always like to make improvements. But until next time, guys, I'll see you later. Peace out, y'all.